Europe and India forge landmark alliance. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe and let's talk about the celebrations that India had that celebrated Republic Day, the day that India's constitution was adopted on January 26th. And Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa of the European Council and European Commission were chief guests for this celebration in Delhi. And this has major implications on the global scale. A week after their critical speeches in Europe, both von der Leyen and Costa visited a country that could very well become one of Europe's biggest trading partners. Opening up trade and considering free trade with India would open up a market of 1.4 billion people to Europe. There's great wealth disparity in India, and if trade between Europe and India takes full form, it would lift up millions from poverty in India, make European goods cheaper for Indian consumers, and ease Europe's need for food, textiles, and other basic goods made and processed in India. This visit by von der Leyen and Costa sets up Europe to become one of India's biggest trading partners. India is cautiously opening its doors to European arms and military equipment. This move indicates that both entities plan on forging a path forward when it comes to defense and maybe even intelligence sharing. Trade between Europe and India will diversify Europe's portfolio and give India's young population a chance to improve their standard of living. It is hard to see that Europe would have been this eager to trade with India had the United States not disrupted trade and defense alliances with Europe like it did after Trump took office for the second time. America losing out on trade means other countries will gain from it. It also means that this will reduce American influence and American businesses in both Europe and India, despite the fact that both Europe and India want to continue their trade alliances with the United States, but Donald Trump's regime is not making it easy because it keeps tariffing Europe and India and other countries that just arbitrarily based on Donald Trump's wins. So Europe and India covers over a quarter of the world's population, two-thirds of whom are in India, and a vast majority of whom are young and eager to find work that pays a living wage. I hope that Europe insists that India improve labor conditions and set up a national minimum wage that aligns with the cost of living in India. That would benefit Indians immensely and would build goodwill between Indians and Europe, not just the country, but also individual Indians. Building goodwill through trade will forge a new relationship for India and Europe. It will build new investments and cultural exchanges. It will make the world stronger because it will diversify trade for Europe, bringing in raw materials at a cheap rate, expand Europe's market for its own products, while also empowering millions in India to have upward mobility through European companies investing in India for its manufacturing and information technology skilled labor capacity. All of this is not to hurt America intentionally. All of this is to shield themselves from the ill will that now drives America's government's interests. In their speeches in Europe, von der Leyen and Costa and Prime Minister Carney of Canada, who seems likely to be visiting India in March, openly talked about these new alliances among middle powers. And although the vestige of the great power America was until recently still remains, there are many more middle powers who have the capability to build strong business, defense, and cultural relationships that are based on fiscal and social realities instead of a mirage of an American-led free world when that world no longer exists. America is losing its goodwill, its trade hegemony, and its position as the world's leader, fiscally, morally, socially, and eventually militarily. That last bit might take a while because America's military is massive. but it is entirely based on voluntary service. So while it has thus far adopted Donald's nihilistic approach to war policy, not defense, there is a limit to how far Trump can bend our military to his will. That speculation remains to be seen. But I wanted to come out and talk briefly about this because Europe and other middle powers are moving forward with extending their trade and defense partnerships. They are leaving America and American bullying behind. We Americans must take note of this. We must realize that because of Trump, our country is now in decline as it relates to our relationships with the world and our allies. This will impact American standard of living in the future. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.